G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to Mags TV, and today we're taking a look at a new game that is currently a work in progress, as you can see here on the top of the screen. This is 303 Squadron, the Battle of Britain, developed by Atomic Jelly. Or I should say, is still in development by Atomic Jelly. At this point the game is not released. They do seem to be flying a little slow, but still that was a nice environmental effect there. Anyways, so 303 Squadron, the Polish squadron that flew in the RAF or with the RAF during the Battle of Britain. While the RAF squadrons during the Battle of Britain were desperately trying to defend their home soil from a German invasion, 303 Squadron had already seen Poland conquered at this point in time, so they were effectively running on a mix of murder and revenge fuel. Which is why, despite only being active in the Battle of Britain for around 6 weeks, they arrived a couple of months too late to be deployed at the very start, and they were put on rest and reserve after just 6 weeks of operation. In that short period of time, they claimed to have shot down 126 enemy aircraft for a loss of only 18 of their own. Now, while the 18 aircraft is most certainly correct, going back through the numbers since then, the numbers are a little bit overinflated. The actual kills for 303 Squadron appears to be far closer to about 60. But this still puts the 303 Squadron as one of the top 4 performing RAF squadrons in the Battle of Britain, and it was only in operation for 6 weeks. But anyways, that's enough of the brief history lesson of 303 Squadron. I'll go into them in much more detail in a future video. So, 303 Squadron, the game. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of walking around here at the moment, because this is actually one of the cooler features that the demo, which if you've seen so far, this is only a demonstration of a game that is not yet complete, actually has available. There isn't a menu system that you go through in order to activate certain features, such as doing maintenance or repair on your aircraft or starting a mission. You actually walk around the airfield, and the entire airfield is actually modelled out. You can walk out to the runways. As you can clearly see, you can just walk around all the aircraft that are just parked off the side of the hangars. You can see the maintenance going on inside the hangars, and you'll be able to talk to some people in there. You can just go for a wander down the field. You can see the drill instructor actually working over some of the troops down the end, or some of the new pilots, although why he's got the pilots doing jumping jacks in what appears to be a dress uniform, I have no idea. But anyways, you can go and do that. There is also the rest of the base, which looks like basically a small town attached onto the back of the airfield, where the pilots would have their quarters and officers would so as well as mechanics and all the rest. You can go into that town and have a little bit of a walk around as well. I can assume that in the course of the actual storyline of the game on release, a lot of this has actually been built as a set piece for, videos and cutscenes in between certain missions. So there might be a scene where pilots are talking to one another in the mess hall. Well, the mess hall is actually modelled. It's just behind the hangars, and just before you go into the living quarters on the base. So I assume it's all been created for that, but you can completely walk around these just to have a look for curiosity's sake in between the missions. So that's cool, but is there anything else to actually do out here? Well, yes there is. Maintenance on your aircraft. Now, if there's anybody here that likes the car mechanic simulator games, you are going to love this part. As you've seen, we just walk around the hangars. You simply walk into the main hangar down in your section and you'll find your Hurricane, where you can just go up to the section of your Hurricane that you want to make modifications to and click on it to start making modifications. Now, to be clear, this is how you both modify and upgrade your aircraft and repair damage to your aircraft. Over time, your wearing components on the aircraft are going to wear out. They will need to be removed, and you will need to replace them with new ones. At exactly the same time, this is how you change your ammunition types. As you can see here, opening up the ammo boxes and removing the belts. Once you have removed these bolts, when you go to put them back in, you'll get the option to change between different ammunition types. And it's not just repair and ammunition selection. Down the track, you may have the option of fitting something like 50 caliber machine guns, or potentially out to 20mm cannons into these weapon spaces. And again, when you do this, you will have to remove the previous weapons and fit the new gear, although this will come at a bit of a sacrifice.
with my eyes closed.
And once again, the same thing is repeated here in the engine bay. Pulling the engine apart, having a look at the internal components, seeing what components are worn out, replacing them if needed, and also looking at available parts that you may have and potentially replacing components to increase the overall performance or adjust the performance of the aircraft based on your personal needs. Now again, this is the demonstration of a still in development product, so there wasn't exactly anything that I could swap out to test exactly how this mechanic works and how much the modifications will make a difference, but you can see exactly what they're going for here. As I mentioned at the start, anybody who has seen a car mechanics simulator, whether it be one of the older ones or 2018, which I've recently started playing myself, can see pretty much what the idea is that the developers are going for here. And it's an interesting way of handling aircraft modifications, performance modifications, and aircraft maintenance in a flight game. And one that I haven't actually seen approached before, that I actually quite like. Which then leads us into the actual gameplay, which is where, at least in the demo form at the moment, and I hope it's not how it's going to look in the final game, we run into a few problems. Now, you get two game modes here, arcade and realistic. Arcade mode is, as you can see, essentially War Thunder. Let's be perfectly blunt here, that's exactly what it's based on. You have mouse aim to control, it works in pretty much exactly the same manner that it does in War Thunder. You have the keyboard to control your throttle, your pitch and yaw directly if you wish to, as well as your roll. So yeah, it's War Thunder. Now, that said, there is a few problems with actually how the game controls in this mode, but I'll come to those a little bit later. The realistic mode appears to have exactly the same flight model as arcade, however in realistic mode you are inside the cockpit.
It was a decoy. They wanted to trick us. We'll teach them.
And yeah, as you play you get access to these little sound clips that get you going through the storyline of the game or the mission as you are playing it. But yes, the realistic mode is essentially the cockpit version of exactly what you see here. Unfortunately, joystick support isn't enabled on the demo for the game at this time. It will be in the final game, but the only way to control realistic mode at the moment is with the gamepad. And sadly, I do not have one of those available, so I couldn't really spend a lot of time playing the realistic mode outside of using the mouse, which is honestly horrible to use, as it usually is in any kind of cockpit sim. Mouse control is not particularly nice. But anyways, you can see exactly what they're going for here. Now, I said there were a few problems, and there are. I'm sure you've noticed already, as I'm moving around, it's not smooth. The aircraft controls, if you watch carefully, particularly the aiming reticle, exactly where the aircraft is pointing, it's very jerky in flight. It's not smooth. Your control is pretty much non-existent. You do see the rudder moving back and forth, but in reality the keyboard controls give you all or nothing, and so does the mouse, which of course puts massive limitations on exactly how accurately you can control the aircraft and how accurately you can actually shoot the enemy. Overall, in the current state of the demo, the aircraft feels like you're trying to fly it through a thick molasses, and it's not great. You can also see how rocky the aircraft is, which makes it an absolute pain to try and to be able to keep your maneuvers up. The enemy aircraft, the AI, their flight modeling is very interesting as well. I've also seen BF-109s in the demo completely invert themselves and then start outmaneuvering me by pulling negative Gs in turns that are, quite frankly, ridiculous. So that side of things is a bit odd as well. The AI can definitely use some work. But really, more than the controls or anything else, if you look very closely here, you can see the stuttering and the jerking. Now, the frame rate is actually quite high at the moment. This is something to do with the engine, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. Graphics level adjustments make absolutely no difference to this, but the whole movement of the aircraft and the control system seems to stutter as it's playing, as does the rotation of the camera itself as you're trying to track the target. Again, this is something that I'm really hoping is fixed before release, because In all honesty, I'm generally fairly resistant to this kind of stuff, but after playing this game for about 2 hours, the constant juddering of the camera was actually starting to hurt my eyes, and I actually had to stop playing and walk away from the game. Now, I said it earlier on, I'm going to say it again, and it is plastered at the top of the screen. This is the work in progress on a demo for a game that is still in development, so I'm hoping that the release product will see all of these problems fixed. But it was kind of hard to actually talk about this game using this as my demonstration for the game and not mention these clear issues. Hopefully they will be corrected. But the game itself can essentially be described as single-player War Thunder, with a campaign that follows 303 Squadron during the Battle of Britain. That's really as simply as it can be put. Add a little bit of car mechanic simulator in there for exactly how you modify and repair your aircraft, and, well, just honestly a really nice mechanic where you can just explore your airbase, and that's what you're looking at here. It is very much an arcade game, it is not a simulation. But that doesn't make it bad. In fact, the actual combination of gameplay elements that I see here I actually quite like. I enjoy playing War Thunder. It's part of the reason I still cover War Thunder despite all of its problems. I also quite like Car Mechanics Simulator. I recently got 2018 and I've had a lot of fun just pulling stuff apart. It's a nice relaxing game to play. So adding these two things together with the ability to just walk around an airbase, fantastic combination in my opinion. So, as I said, the game is not out yet, it is still in development. As soon as the game is released, I will be taking another look at it. I'm hoping that they manage to fix up some of the graphical stuttering issues and some of the frame rate drops that I've seen inside of the demo so far, to smooth out the controls and of course make joystick and hopefully track AR available for the realistic mode. If so, that will be how I will be playing the game. And yeah, fingers crossed it launches well, because this could be just a fun little arcade game to add to your collection. One that gives you all of the fun of War Thunder's style of gameplay without having to worry about the matchmaker or anything else. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you very much for watching. Remember to leave a comment down below and tell me what you think of the look of this game so far. Also, remember to check my social media, my Twitch and my Patreon in the video description down below. Like the video if you do, share and subscribe if you want to see more, and until next time, take care.